It is easy to be cynical about the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie. After all, the film was honestly pretty miserable. In fact, it had a lazy narrative conceit where a CGI video game protagonist met the real world, which was a story angle that resulted in a bunch of lazy pop culture referential humor and shameless product placement instead of an emotionally impactful story filled with artistic ingenuity, creativity, or meaningful imagination. It was honestly kind of the laziest narrative imaginable that could be crafted to a mass audience, which is ironic considering how its titular character is anything but lazy. After all, he's gotta go fast. And honestly, the first Sonic the Hedgehog adaptation just wasn't a very fun or enjoyable cinematic experience. It was kind of trash. Trash that could be amusing at times because we do gotta hear the most brazen Olive Garden product placement of all time, but trash nonetheless. It wasn't very good, no matter how many people try to say otherwise. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, however, is an improved sequel, even though I hesitate to call it good, because it isn't. Sure, this Jeff Fowler directed movie based on Sega's iconic mascot platformer still contains the abysmal CGI character meets the real world style of narrative that was present in the first movie, and all the lazy referential humor and product placement that type of narrative entails, especially for the Four Seasons Hotel at Hawaii, because wow, they must have really shilled hard for this film. But Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is a better movie overall, mostly because it's a superior adaptation of the Sonic video games. After all, there are more characters from the games, like Tails and Knuckles. Jim Carrey's Dr. Robotnik now looks more the part than he did in the first one, and then there's the meaningful MacGuffin of the Chaos Emerald. There is just a lot more stuff present in this movie that is befitting of a Sonic adaptation that puts a lot of the more cynical and shitty human and real-world bullshit closer to the margins of the narrative, i.e. the stuff that was more blatant and front and center in the first go-around. And while don't get me wrong, a lot of the nonsense from the first movie is still here, it all shares the spotlight with a far more interesting Sonic narrative that's more in line with the games and is overall more creative, inventive, and interesting. As I said, it is an improved sequel, though one that still doesn't entirely come together as a completely good movie in its own right. It's still kind of a mess, albeit a more enjoyable mess, which, speaking as a walking disaster myself, I can at least respect from that certain angle. It is better. Sonic the Hedgehog 2's narrative enhancements start with its story. The plot follows Sonic the Hedgehog, a speedy alien from another planet who has found a comfortable home with James Marsden's cop dad, Tom Wachowski, and his wife, Antigua Sumter's Maddie Wachowski, which is a living arrangement that Sonic enjoys, but does have one minor problem with. See, the film takes place a year after Sonic defeated Dr. Robotnik by stranding him in an alternate mushroom dimension, no relation, and ever since that heroic adventure, Sonic has been restless. After all, he has these awesome superpower capabilities where he goes fast and desires to use his powers for good. The problem, though, is that he is still a kid and needs to grow up and experience things. Normal coming-of-age stuff like love, shaving facial hair, and most importantly, attending his first Slipknot concert. Normal stuff. But things change too fast for Sonic. See what I did there? While Tom and Maddie are vacationing in Hawaii at the Four Seasons, Dr. Robotnik has returned from his shroom-filled purgatory with the help of the alien Knuckles, named as such because he has big knuckles and can really pack a punch. Also, he is voiced by Idris Elba, which is pretty cool. And together, Robotnik and Knuckles hope to find the Chaos Emerald, a MacGuffin that can basically do whatever the scriptwriters want it to, which in the case of this movie means world domination for Dr. Robotnik and Knuckles. And from there, Sonic receives aid from Tails, voiced by Colleen Ann O'Shaughnessy, and the two try to thwart Robotnik and Knuckles' evil plan. The emotional core of the movie is overall pretty solid. The film espouses the importance of friendship, family, and teamwork, a lesson that Sonic the Hedgehog as a character has not learned yet. After all, Sonic is pretty young, cocky, and overconfident, and the movie regularly puts him in a position where he needs the aid of allies, and honestly, this makes for a somewhat intriguing narrative where our lead character actually grows. He has an arc, and one that is even contrasted with Knuckles' uneasy alliance with Dr. Robotnik, a man who doesn't know anything about honor, friendship, or any of that. And with Sonic, Robotnik, Knuckles, and also Tails' arc about coming out of their comfort zone, there is a lot of clear character development here. And while sure, the movie is far from subtle, hell, its themes are easier to spot than Waldo in a morbid angel mosh pit, but for an all-ages family adventure, the movie's character development is decent enough. Even though you can see where it's heading from miles away, it is fine. Unfortunately, there is a problem. See, Sonic is kind of an annoying protagonist. Like, sure, I get that Sonic is supposed to be cocky and overconfident, but wow, does Ben Schwartz's take on the character really get grating. Hell, he's downright unfunny. He makes quips and pop cultural referential humor, which is just one of the laziest forms of comedic writing. And while sure, snappy dialogue stating the obvious and pop culture referential humor has its place, see Spider-Man, it's important to note if the character is being overbearing about it, or whether or not the movie is acknowledging the cringiness of the joke, something that Sonic the Hedgehog 2 doesn't do. Sonic just tells a lot of groaners here, which unfortunately makes it hard to 100% root for him all the time, because he's annoying to the point that I kind of get why Robotnik finds him irritating, because truly, that's a sociopath I understand. With that said, the video game elements are quite good here. See, one of the worst aspects of the previous Sonic movie was that there was an overabundance of human and Earth bullshit, like product placement and the aforementioned referential humor, and not enough stuff that was present in the video game, like important characters, plot devices, and locations. You know, the kind of stuff you'd want to see in a Sonic the Hedgehog adaptation. But Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is a huge improvement here. A lot of the story's emotional heavy lifting is done between Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Robotnik, rather than James Marsden. It's more focused on the game characters. And while sure, there is a B-plot featuring the human characters and a wedding that overall detract from the more interesting aspects of the movie, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 as an adaptation is more focused on the video game elements compared to its predecessor, and thank fucking goodness for that. Because when this film is allowed to just be a Sonic the Hedgehog movie, it's pretty solid. It is somewhat enjoyable. I just wish I could feel that way about the whole movie. Admittedly, I do have some cynicism regarding Sonic the Hedgehog 2. The product placement is still overboard, there's still too much human drama bullshit, Jim Carrey is still doing his Jim Carrey shtick, and Sonic does one of those Quicksilver X-Men Days of Future Past styles of action sequences that is just old hat at this point. And honestly, there is a lot to find irritating with Sonic the Hedgehog 2. There's quite a bit to roll one's eyes at. But still, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is ultimately okay. It's fine. While its product placement is indulgent, the CGI character meets the real-world storytelling conceit is too present for my taste, and Sonic is kind of annoying, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 does have some creative merit. Comparatively, the movie is way more focused on being a video game adaptation. The story is more central to Sonic and friends, and the action befits that of a Sonic narrative. Even though it's not the movie I'd want as a gamer, it is still serviceable. It's alright. It's the Four Seasons of video game adaptations. And with that, that was the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like rating, share, subscribe, ring the bell, and leave a comment telling me what you thought of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Also, please consider checking out my Patreon page. $1 a month gets you onto my Discord server, and $5 a month allows you to start making review requests. The link to my Patreon is in the description. And speaking of my Patreon, I just want to thank my patrons, particularly my high tier ones in David, Samantha, Devlin, Mom, and Morgan. Thank you so much for supporting what I do. Love y'all.